Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Galactic Nerd Outpost. I'm your host, Joey McGee, a.k.a. Gojin the Makai Phantom. Joining me is Carolee.
Hello.
Monarch for the first time in a while.
What's up?
And Forgotten Pharaoh. And what we're going to look at today is the most recent installment in the Predator franchise, Prey. Which the thing about this movie, I'm going to say it right off the bat, this is far better than that 2018 disaster.
Better than a lot of movies we've gotten with Predator, honestly.
Yeah, it's fucking better. And honestly, I liked it. But first thing we'll go is we'll let Carolee go first.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Definitely better than the 2018. I just loved it. I absolutely loved it. One thing I want to touch base on, and we can, you who are watching at home can leave your opinions in the comments. There is some controversy on whether or not it was a stolen idea from a YouTuber who made a fan film called Warrior Predator. It's like a 7-minute long fan film, and it's eerily similar. But here's the thing. In the comics from the Dark Horses, like, they touched base on the same thing, on the same time period. So did it come from this Blinky 500's idea, or did they get their idea from the comics? I don't know.
Honestly, all art is derivative from each other, so someone could have made a fanfic about this exact idea of a Predator movie, never publish it or do much with it, and the idea will still come out somewhere. It happens so often.
Exactly. And then so many people are like, oh, sue Disney. Well, it was 20th century idea. Disney bought them. So I don't know. I do know that the comics did touch base on this time period before. So it's more likely that it came from the comics. But the fan film came out before production date. So again, you really I don't really have an opinion on it. I just wanted to bring that up and others their opinion on that. All I know is I really enjoyed this movie. I watched it last night, and it was really good. I loved it.
Cody Branch said, I'm familiar with Blinky's work. I like it a lot.
It was okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen it myself. I didn't know it was only 7 minutes, so I might check it out. But when it comes to this film in particular, JS Pinna said, I haven't seen it yet. I've heard people say it was good and average. I'll watch it soon, just not now. When it comes to the story here, I think they did a really good job with it, because even if they did rip off the fan film, in the end, what matters most is how it's executed. Like, Jason Voorhees is a ripoff of Michael Myers, but he's cooler than Michael. But one of the things I liked about this movie is you have a lot of people complaining about the historic accuracies, trying to politicize it. And yeah, I'm sure there's a bit of a political message in there, but it's not a bad political message. I describe it similar to something like the original Mulan, where it takes place in an era where all this discrimination happened, while also telling its theme in a believable manner. So that's essentially how I felt about it, and I really did enjoy it. You have all this stuff that is very accurate, alongside having stuff like an alien. And I did enjoy when it comes to the story that this was the first Yachua, or however the hell their names are pronounced, that went on the planet. And while the Predators are always been primitive, even his design and weaponry is less advanced. Even the mask doesn't fully cover his face. He's more like a native. So that's something I really did enjoy from this particular Yachua.
Speaking of natives, I really liked that we had an entire cast of natives play natives.
I agree. I agree. That was nice, because when you are taking place in that era, it's more believable if you have people with that group doing it. And I think when people could go on that they're speaking English, but in the end, it's still cinema. We can cover our disbelief. We can suspend our disbelief enough to enjoy it. Huh?
Suspension of disbelief was what you were trying to say.
Yeah, suspension of disbelief. But that's essentially how I feel about the overall story. And it's overall I think it's really good. The story of the movie is like, I think even if it did whether or not it ripped off that fan film, I don't know. But essentially, it kind of did what Predators did by going back to the original the original setting in a way. Just the original is more about the Yachiwa versus soldiers and a quote unquote modern age. It's the 80s, so it's not modern anymore. But while this went back to that forest setting of warriors with old school Native Americans, and the weaponry of the Yachiwa is in line with the old school Native Americans, and so is the tactics formed by the natives to take him down. Hell, even the Yachiwa on the planet, he shows, while he has more toys than the one in the first movie did, he's still a bit more reckless than the Yachiwa in the first movie was, as he's just fighting everything there that seems like a threat. Dogs, wolves.
I feel like that was intentionally designed to do so.
Yeah. That's the thing.
Yeah, for sure.
He doesn't
this guy was definitely, you could tell, he just gives off young blood vibes. And he was so desperate to prove himself as a hunter, he was just fighting things left and right, which of course ultimately it was that recklessness which ended up of course being the inevitable downfall.
That's fascinating. You pointed it out as recklessness, because I see it as hierarchy, where this predator is coming to a new location, and one of the first things he does is watch this snake attack snake attack something else. He sees this as a predator. I kill it. I'm better than this one. Then he goes on to see a dog hunting something else. He attacks the dog, proving he's superior. Then he goes on to fight a bear, proving he's superior to that. He's testing himself against the natural order and seeing how superior he is attacking other predators.
Yeah, and it really works in line of the continuity, as it shows that the other Yachiwa learned from what he did, being he was the first on that planet. It was all about experiments, showing that how powerful he is. Which you did, for speaking of such, I would be interested in seeing a Predator movie that takes place in old Japan against the fucking samurai.
Samurai are really slow though.
Yeah, but that would be so cool. We even got a taste of that in Predators with the Yakuza dude, but he still fought like a samurai, so I would be interested
didn't have
to see
armor of a samurai. Like, the thing is, samurai are like super dressed up and built as kind of like walking tanks. While that, like, the dude was a Yakuza. He didn't have any of that stuff. He just had a sword. And samurai tended like preferred to fight at a distance. They didn't like to fight with a sword specifically. If they were fighting with a sword, that means like, crap, I have to engage in close combat, which is not optimal usually.
Yeah. That is true. But it would still be an interesting take considering that it's movies. Huh?
Absolutely. I do agree. It would be really fun seeing predators in different timeline fighting humanity throughout history. I would love to, like, I don't know, I feel like that'd be tiring as a movie, but I would love to see it as a graphic novel of just like anthology stories of Predator in this timeline, Predator in this timeline, Predator in this timeline. I would love to see how a writer with a really good art team could really make that feel fun.
I think it actually has been done in comics.
I
think it actually has been.
Predator win.
Huh?
For once.
I mean, wait, what happens when the Predator wins? Like, he doesn't kill everybody. Does he just kill the person and then take off?
Yeah, he goes home. He goes home victorious. Like, I just want to see one win, okay?
That would be really cool. Well, that'd be ballsy. I don't think they do that in a movie, but in a graphic novel, they could totally do that.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. The closest we got to that, I think, being a few video games like Predator something Jungle for the PS2 and Xbox. I forgot its name.
Concrete Jungle.
Huh?
Concrete Jungle.
Yeah, Predator Concrete Jungle. Don't you win in that as the Yachiwa?
Oh yeah, for real, for certain.
Yeah,
I
still gotta play that
Predator.
game.
You're just making sure everything around you is you're pretty much the boss of that whole Concrete Jungle. The way it ends is a pretty good ending for me. It's a good game. I never played it. I've seen gameplay of it, but it's pretty good in my opinion. Even if it was like old for PS2, it was still pretty good graphics, pretty good games.
PS2 was still one of my favorite systems, probably best system.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was definitely a solid era.
And it was nice to see the perspective of the Predator itself, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we get to see through its eyes the story of why it's there, why it's doing what's there. But it's a pretty solid game.
Anyway, were you about to say Carolee?
Huh?
Oh wait, you were about to say something. I can't remember.
Oh, I'm good.
Okay. I don't want us to constantly talk over you. I don't want that.
I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I said. I don't even know anymore. So we're good. Let's move on.
Okay. But that anyway, in a non-spoilery way, I'm not sure if there's anything else I can really say about the story other than I think it handled the historical accuracies very well. A lot of people on one side are going to particularly bitch about that, and it's like that. It's not an issue if you know anything about native lore.
I know.
It's accurate. It's very accurate to that shit.
I don't. So
they were very true to Comanche culture, like everything. Like I was really thoroughly impressed. You could tell that they had a team who really cared about the accuracy of how Comanches actually lived their day-to-day life. I appreciate
cool.
Yeah, I agree too. I agree. Like I've seen some people calling how the treatment of Russians, I think they were Russian with natives, was huh?
They were French. The trap.
Oh,
the
French.
They were obviously
They were
French.
full French, dude.
They were obviously French. I don't know who the fuck is out here saying that they're Russian.
Yeah.
That person needs to get their whole their different cultures.
They get history right.
I get Russia and France mixed up for whatever reason, but some people are bitching about the handling of that, and it's if you know anything about the lore, it wasn't just natives and the pilgrims that hated each other. Natives,
everyone hated Native Americans. It's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. They had a lot of shit going on back then. It was very
way back. Like this was taking place what 1719, 1720. This was way before. Yeah, this was before the Revolutionary War and all that. Mm-hmm. This was during the time when Europeans were still moving over to the New World.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But of course, and even all the way up to the point of the Revolutionary War, they still saw Native Americans as savages and treated them as such.
Did you see what they did to the buffalo though? That's savage.
No,
I know.
I want to get to the spoilers so badly.
I know, right? But the way that the French acted towards Nauru is accurate.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So sorry that you get your butt hurt for historical accuracy, but that's how history was.
These same people are bitching about stuff like Call of Duty and Battlefield going for historical accuracy, but I mean not going for historical accuracy, but moment when Prey goes for historical accuracy, it's an issue.
Mm-hmm.
People will just find anything to complain about.
Yeah, I hate the era we're living in because you have crazy political crazies on both ends trying to ruin entertainment, and it's like that. If it wasn't for this dumb culture war, I wouldn't even be thinking of the shit that goes on in this movie because the thing is, it's realistic. It's not an issue. That's the thing.
And here's the thing: it's a movie about an extraterrestrial hunter coming down to the path. They didn't have to be as I'm pretty sure that's not historically accurate. But everything else is historically accurate.
Look at the first movie. The first movie had a bunch of buffed 80s superheroes, basically.
Listen, man, that movie came out during the 80s. That was the trend of the time. That was peak 80s, 90s action movies, big butt guys, hip firing ammo, just unlimited ammo. That's how it was back then.
Yeah. Honestly, I wouldn't mind a complete remake of that movie using today's technology.
Closest we got to that is
because interesting, but I don't want to leave it be. Is let it just be whatever it is that wonderful era, because we won't get that 80s cheese now. We'll get the 80s part of it, but it'll kind of be a callback more than this is the authentic 80s feel going on right now.
The closest we got
have a lot of that now.
The closest we got to that was 2009's Predators, but that's a requel, as there's things that goes back to the original one while also taking it in its own direction, a lot like how the Return of Godzilla did with Gojira and Halloween 2018 did with Halloween, and Doom 2016 did with Doom. it remakes it while taking its own direction. Here, while not exactly a remake or requel of the first movie, it does do a lot of a drawback to the original Predator, which, for speaking of such, I like how they went back to that action horror blend the first movie did. Because I'm sure we all can agree that the first Predator was action horror, and then after that it went more into the action direction, which is something I noticed a lot of franchises do that blend action horror or comedy horror. They go more towards action or comedy in the later sequel. This brought it back to its action horror roots, where a lot like in the first movie, the horror doesn't come from the kills. The horror comes from the tension that comes around the kills,
like suspense, and that exactly. That's why Predator is as revered as it is. It's not the kills themselves, even though the kills are fantastic, but it's that build up to each of the kills. It's that suspense. It's knowing that there is something out there watching these guys, and you can see that they know it and they're falling apart. These battle-hardened commandos who have probably been through hell and back, just for once come across something that they're legitimately scared of.
Yeah,
that's what made Predator a timeless classic.
The idea of we're badasses, then realizing, oh shit, there's a bigger badass than us.
Exactly.
He has that proper blend of action and horror. As Naru is a badass chick, and I'll go into more of her character later on why she works. But I want to say right now, when it comes to the action horror stuff, the scenes are exciting when she's battling them. There's a lot of cool moments, but at the same time, she doesn't feel invincible. Nobody does. You feel tension for them. Like there's moments like, I'm not gonna go. I gotta go that into spoiler section. There's a spoiler section actually after final thoughts and ratings. So
let's get into that.
I have
we're trying to get into it, so let's get into it.
Let's get
so
into
like current ratings right now.
Okay, final thoughts and ratings before going on to the spoiler section.
10 out of 10. I fucking loved it for everything, for the action, for just the amazing effects that they were able to put into it. The fact that it is pretty, spot on, historically accurate as far as the Comanches and the French trappers go. The fact that they actually used Native Americans. I loved it. 10 out of 10. Absolutely loved it.
I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I thought it was a great movie.
You suck. No.
Great movie. I'll go more into the characters in the spoiler section, but I want to say I really liked them. They were all very fleshed out, and there's reason for them. There's a message of feminism, but it's not the third wave crap. It's common sense feminism that's thrown in a way that's actually very well built on. And it's brought up a lot, but it's in an era where discrimination towards women was big. So it's convincing that would be a thing in a time like that. And so it was it was delivered in a historically accurate way. So I dig that aspect. Like, sure, the way it's delivered would come off as heavy-handed in a movie that takes place in modern era, but back then, it's very real. It's convincing. Yeah. I like the music. The cinematography was all very well done. Like, there's a moment where they're running from the Yachua while someone
stop. Keep describing scenes.
Okay. Well, see, the cinematography is actually good. It's not Hideki Anno level of cinematography where you get all these very crazy shots, but you do get some pretty memorable angles out there. Yeah. And I actually do like the music. Like, it's not typical Predator music. It's not what I think of when I hear Predator, because generally when I hear Predator, I think of music like the first movie, 80s and such. But at points, it's actually very beautiful that really capture that tribalistic feel that it really had in mind. So with that being said, before we go on spoiler angles, I might as well also go on to the Yachua himself. I liked his design. He looks terrifying. He looks similar to the older Yachuas while also his own direction. His mask is more tribalistic while at the same time very cool with all this really badass weaponry. So with that being said, 8 out of 10, great movie. Go see it. I'd rank it in my top 3 Predator movies. My favorite is a tie between 1986 Predator and Predators. Then, at the end of this video, let's do a ranking of the Predator movies.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do a ranking at the end of this video after we're done with the spoilers. But that's my take on it. Now, who wants to go next?
Monarch, go.
10 out of 10 for me. First off, mainly because it was way better than The Predator, or I'm sorry, The Predator, but not really. all in all, cinematography was amazing. You know, again, cultural appropriation, having actual natives playing as actual natives, really great, really appreciated. All in all, the music score as well. Music score was also really great. Like you said, Joe, it had that tribalistic feeling, which was a nice touch. The story itself, relatively easy to follow, relatively simple, while also impactful. And you just, you know, the characters themselves also, especially the main characters, really liked following the story of Naru. Really liked her brother. Her brother was a nice supporting character.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the trappers, you know how they were. They were meat bags. That was their whole
You
thing.
need to have bodies in one of these.
They were meat bags.
Mm-hmm.
The predator himself, you could just feel the the power he had. You know, and a really nice design as well. Also, like legitimately, like we've known predators to be terrifying, but this guy took it on a whole new level. And I thought the berserker predator was ugly as fuck, but it was a nice change to see that, because you know Yalcha Prime, it's a big planet. Of course, not every predator is going to look the same. So it was nice to see it have some callbacks to the original design, but also be its own thing. You know, the weaponry was also really cool. I really liked how we got to see how each and every single one of it worked. You know, and just imagine this guy had imagine if he had actual experienced hunter gear. You know, no one would have survived. No, all in all, it is a 10 out of 10 for me. It's been a while since we've gotten a movie that felt like a Predator movie, and that was way back during 2009, 2010's Predators. So again, a really great movie. Highly recommend it. But of course, you know, if you get butthurt about historical accuracy and about sending the message, don't watch it. Just save yourself the trouble.
Yeah.
All right. I guess it's me. Overall, I have to agree with all of you. It's a great movie. I loved it. Solid action scenes. Great. Like, it got me hyped when the action scenes were going down. And I don't feel excited very often, unfortunately, because I'm kind of jaded with a lot of things. I've seen really good action scenes. I've written a lot of stories where I know how things go. I read a lot. So a lot of movies have really boring action scenes. So when I see something that's really exciting, it gets me excited. I'm like, this is really good if I'm feeling out of it. The main character, Naru, was wonderful. I loved her from the get-go with her dog. She was smart throughout the entire movie. I loved how she was planning things out. She was honestly really relatable. She's probably one of my current favorite Predator main characters, to the point I will remember her more than others. Any other ones I remember. Like the Predators, I remember them. I don't remember their names. I'm going to remember, Naru, because of what she did.
Yeah.
I would say must rewatch. I have to rewatch the others just to give a better rating, but this is definitely in top 2 or top 3. I'll give it 9 out of 10, primarily because I'm not enticed to really write something else or read more Predator-based things. It got me excited, but if it was able to get me to research more Predator lore or look into their things or start collecting figures or start writing my own Predator stories, then it would get that 10 out of 10. But it's just missing that little bit. And 2 little fun facts, actually. One, I used to work at a Petco, and I had a friend named Max. I still talk to him. Max worked on this movie as an animator. His name is in the credits and everything, and I am so proud for him.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah. And fun little fact number 2, I didn't like the Predators, but I met the actor who played the Predator in that movie. And he was really nice. Super tall. I am 5'11". He's like 6'10".
Wow.
Damn.
So he didn't even really need stilts or something. They just put makeup on him, and that was just the size of the Predator. I'm like, that's intimidating. His hands could crush my face. It looked like, but he wasn't bulky. He was tall, lanky, but he was really nice. I met him at a convention. I'm like, that's so cool. But yeah, 9 out of 10 movie. I would suggest people watch it. outwardly.
Yeah.
And if we're gonna go to spoilers, can I bring
I
up
want to go first.
first
Please.
topic?
No, I want to go first. I want to go first.
You've
It's
been
so-
talking more.
I promise you won't. This is not your spoiler. I promise it's not your spoiler.
Fine.
Okay. So for those of you who are dog lovers, like I love all animals, the dog fucking lives.
Yep.
Thank
Yes, you can
you.
confirm the
Yo,
dog
that dog
lives.
had so many death scares.
I know.
Legitimately.
They
Like,
knew what they were doing with
goddamn.
that deck. There's points that you already seen the Yachiwa kill multiple creatures, so every time it got with the dog, it's like, get away from her, get away.
Oh yeah, like that. That dog could have died at any moment. And I'm like,
That dog was
please,
that
please.
dog was the real main character of this movie because it had an insane amount of plot armor.
Oh,
Let me
that
tell
is
you that.
true.
Okay.
Which, one of the things I will want to point out in terms of effects, the effects in this movie, I will want to say, on the Yachiwa are incredible, very good details, all of that, very expressionable. But I will say the CGI on stuff like the bear could have been a lot better. Like,
Yo, that bear fight was so good.
oh, the fight was good. The
Right.
fight was great. The
Oh,
fight
the
itself
fight
was
was
phenomenal.
awesome.
I want to make that clear. But the detail on the bear itself, like, I feel like the fur could have been a bit more puffy and detailed. And he looked a bit too slim for my taste. But I will say, and during the battle, when the Yachua stabs the bear and lifts it up, you can always see the wet water falling down from the fur going onto the ground, which looked
blood
pretty
has a
good.
weird consistency going.
And
on.
he was
It
wet.
was a
Probably
nice touch.
why he
Like-
wasn't fluffy.
Yeah, like the bear
Like-
itself could have been better looking, but when that fight, the fight around it, and the water that was on the bear, that was a nice touch. I gotta give that credit.
You were dancing around the actual cool part of that whole thing of a predator was wrestling a bear
Pick
and then
that
he
motherfucker.
punched it to death.
Oh yeah, that was cool. That was
Like the
cool.
bear was charging at him and he just spun around, punched it in the face.
Snap.
Yeah,
You
that is
just hear-
true,
you
and
just
that
hear
was
the
a very
snap.
cool battle. Like I never thought I'd seen the Yachua or whatever the fuck their names are. Fight,
Yautja.
Gotcha.
huh?
It's pronounced Yautja.
Oh,
Yautja.
Yautja? Okay.
Yautja.
Yautja. Okay, I never thought I'd see a Yautja fight creatures like that, but I did, and it was just as cool as it sounds. Which, when it comes to other effects of the movie, that fight with the dog, I don't know what they did, but you had this little green, the predator's green blood on its teeth. I don't know what they put on that dog's teeth, but it was a nice
The
little
wolf.
touch. Huh?
Mhm.
The wolf.
The
The
wolf.
wolves are still a dog.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
true.
wolf.
Yeah, but that little detail of green blood was nice, as I wouldn't have expected to have seen that. I don't know how they even made the dog fight the Yautja. Like, was it even a real dog at that point, or just really good CGI?
You could tell, like, one of the things I appreciate about this movie is, one, they had actual trained animal, aside from the bear, of course,
Yeah.
but they had actual trained animals to do the movie. And that, to me, that's also kind of like one of those lost arts for
Practical
movies.
effects.
Like how in premium figures, you know, the die-cast metal, it's a lost art.
Mhm.
But yeah, the wolf. They had the wolf. That was, for some bits. It was obviously there were some CGI moments for the wolf, of course, but for most of the time it was on screen. It was an actual animal, but that wolf fight, man, that was actually just so really cool to just see the wolf actually kind of go up against the predator. We all knew how it was going to end, obviously, but the wolf managed to get a lick in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it was pretty badass. I'm glad he
Which
didn't just.
also, go ahead.
I'm glad he didn't just make the Yautja just mow through the animals to show how cool he is. Each
Right.
animal gave him a challenge.
Exactly,
Well,
because
That's why I like calling out that the predator was going through the hierarchy of predators on Earth. It fought the snake to see, like, all right, I'm better than this. It fought the wolf, improved, I'm faster than this. It fought the bear, improved, I'm stronger
than this.
And in
Yeah,
each
exactly.
instance, you get to see, wow, this thing is really formidable. At the same time, Naru was seeing it kill these things, and she was learning how it fights, how it hunts. She's learning his technology, and she uses all of that brilliantly in her conflict against him. Like, she's clearly a better predator because she's hunting smarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because again, that was like, you could tell. And again, I love the focus that we were getting on the predator itself. It had so much screen time. We get to see exactly how he was learning, because this is his first time on the planet, obviously. And so he's learning, again, like you said, Pharaoh, he's learning through the hierarchy. He's learning how each of these animals work. But then once he comes across something like humans, it becomes a little bit more difficult. They prove to be more of a worthy prey because, they're not just simple animals. They're actually, well, I mean, we're all animals, but they're intelligent. They
Yo, that
learn.
brother put up a fight.
Oh, her brother put up one hell of a fight. Like for real, man.
That solidified this movie is getting a high A ranking because he was doing work on that predator and also recycling the same arrow to shoot him 3 times.
Yeah.
Bro, always recycle your arrows, okay? Recycle your arrows.
One bit I did like of the brother where when he knew that it was spoiler alert.
We're in the spoiler section.
Yeah,
I know, I'm just saying it. Just saying it.
Spoilers for the spoiler.
Yes, and he knew that it was his time, and he this is it. I go no more. I really like the fact that he gave his sister that pep talk of that was your idea that I used to get that lion. Like you can do this, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I agree. And when it comes to the whole thing with Naru, like one of the things I enjoy, like I think the people we're following really worked here, since she didn't have much weapons because she didn't get any from the people that she was around. So the Priyatua, which this is the first time in any movie we've seen this, did not see her as a threat for a while for that purpose. So he's essentially just killing everyone around her until she actually sees what he does and actually starts attacking him. And that's when he's like, okay, you want some of this? And they end up battling until she ended up using what she saw from him against him and actually defeating the Yautja. That's actually some very good character development here. And around that one dude, I forget his fucking name, but first I want to go into her as a character since I've already brought her up. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I think the actress Amber did really good in this role because she doesn't have too much energy or too little, so you don't have to worry about these heavy emotional scenes, but it's done in the right balance. Huh?
No, go ahead.
Okay. But she doesn't have all this. She doesn't have too much or too little emotion since the character is tough. But at the same time, when she's running from the Yautja, you get enough of fear for her to come off as vulnerable enough. So there's that middle ground between tough / emotionless and frightened that I think Amber really nailed here. And being around that one dude that constantly doubted her, I absolutely hated him. And their dynamic together was really good because, yeah, you dislike him, but that's the point. It makes you want to root for her more. And when the Yautja finally busts a cap in his ass, it's fucking nice.
It is very
taken out.
Yeah, and I always like when movies you have these assholes that show up in movies that essentially treat the main characters like shit, which in this case the French. Along with the French, that one dude. So when the Yautja, the bigger threat / badass comes and starts fucking them up, it always gets the adrenaline pumping. Hell, I even liked it in Jason Meets Manhattan because you had all these very shitty people that would just start doing vile things, and when Jason just came and murdered them, it's like, good riddance. Even though Jason's technically a piece of shit, it's still, at least he's a cool piece of shit. So it's nice seeing that cool piece of shit.
You were pretty much rooting for the Predator in this movie for sure. Especially
you were rooting for him against the French people, that's for sure. That was basically going Dynasty Warriors on people. I enjoyed that so much.
Yeah, and all that was really struck that balance of action and horror because when there's all this very crazy shit that goes on when he's killing them, that's where the action aspect comes into this movie. As you're not supposed to be scared for this French, you're supposed to be rooting for the Yautja, going, yeah, kill those fuckers. While around Naru and the other natives, you're supposed to be scared for them.
Yeah, the Predator itself. It showed, this one showed for sure, like, something that we haven't seen since Predator and Predator 2 was that the Predator was a combination of both insane strength, but also great agility as well. Because the Predator, he's just jumping from trees left to right. He's running super fast, but at the same time, of course, he has great, insane strength to pretty much one punch a bear and just tossing the French trappers all around. And I think that's something that we haven't seen in a Predator since the first two movies. Like we've seen in Predators, we've seen them running fast. We've seen their strength, but we really haven't seen much of the agility side of them, And again, of course, I'm not going to count the Predator, complete. AVP, AVP was all right.
Yeah.
Wolf kind of had like that same balance as well, but was mainly more of the powerhouse type deal. But again, the Predator itself was, what's the word I can use to describe it? Well, it was epic for sure. It was fantastic. It felt like an actual Predator, and it was nice to see that this Predator didn't have a lot of gear on him, if we're being honest. He had like a few gears with him, a few tech with him at most, like maybe like 5 to 6 things. And he didn't have much armor on as well. He only had like his biomass, he had his wrist blade, he had his other wrist bracer, he had the back med pack thing, he had the spear thing, he had the arrow shooter, and that was it. The fact that he didn't have much armor on, but he was still tanking all of these attacks just shows just how much of a powerhouse that the Yautja can really be. Like, I'm pretty sure if we were to put this guy up against the super predators from Predators, he would probably win.
He might do okay. I don't know how long he'd last.
I don't know how long he'd last.
Because he doesn't have plasma cannons.
Okay.
He doesn't have plasma cannons, no, but I don't think he would really need plasma cannons.
I don't know. A plasma cannon can do a lot of damage.
It makes sense, though, that he's a little bit more primitive than the other ones, because just like here on Earth, we've progressed with time and technology. So it makes sense that they too in time will progress. So I like the fact that they kind of kept both a little primitive. Like,
right.
It was made in tune with the whole concept.
It oddly scaled him back, but still made him feel like an extraterrestrial being with future gadgets.
Yeah, it's futuristic while also being in the past. That's something I really enjoyed here.
And we've known for a long time that the Yautja, the Predators themselves, are technologically advanced for probably thousands of years. And if AVP is anything to go by, we know that they've been visiting Earth for thousands of years. But it was nice to see for us to follow a Predator going through pretty much his initiation, to be specific, because from what lore we know of to go by, they don't give the plasma casters to Youngbloods until they earn it. That's pretty much like their driver's license, pretty much.
I actually have no idea.
And
wait,
of course,
I thought the Predator in the first movie had his plasma gun.
But that he was an experienced hunter. This has been confirmed that he was an experienced hunter.
Why the fuck does he come on Earth if he's experienced?
Do we now?
All right, that's fair enough. Keep my mistakes going.
It's for the movie.
Not every experienced hunter uses an insane amount of gadgets.
Yeah, true.
Eat it if you're that experienced.
Yeah, and that's the thing with this Predator. He didn't feel that experience, because he was just tanking things left and right. He was taking the damage. He wasn't really doing much to avoid being hit. While this is his first time being on Earth, still, even in unknown territory, an experienced hunter would do better to analyze the situation.
This Predator needed a shield to protect himself in a lot of the fights, which I don't think I've seen before. So that definitely stands out.
Haven't definitely never seen anything like that, which was a pretty nice touch, all honesty. Like, it was pretty nice to see some new things that have been talked about in past media. Like, oh, what if the Predator had a sword or something? Well, we've seen one with a sword. But what if he had all this other fancy stuff? And the shield, he pretty much had a Kratos shield, pretty much.
Right? What if he has the shield because he is the new blood or the young blood?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like that kind of showed me how inexperienced he is. Cause like, all right, no, like I've seen a lot of predators jump in, take someone out, and then just jump back out and be able to weave in and out of opponents and still be fine. This one is just jumping in, taking people out, and just holding up a shield to protect himself while he gets closer to do something else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, something a bit more on the negative side. While I do hate the French in the movie, I do think that we don't really get to, like, we hate them all because of the vile shit they do, but we don't really get to know any in particular to really get that oomph from them. Like, think about it this way, like, when it comes to as shitty as the Nazis were, there was also a particular face to hate in that crew. Here, we don't have any particular faces. They're just the French, and yeah, they're vile, and it's nice to see the Yautja kill them, but at the same time, we don't really get any time with them to really grow that strong dynamic of hatred that really could have gotten. We just hate them because they're vile, and that's
Sir, may I point out that they muzzled the dog? And
Okay.
They muzzled the dog. That was more than enough.
They deserve their
kill
fate.
the dog. That was more than enough.
Yep.
Oh yeah, they deserve their fate. They're awful people, but it would have been nice to actually have a face of that crew to hate.
What about that fat dude?
Yeah, I feel like the fat dude.
But that's the thing about the fat dude. He's just
the worst.
That's the thing about the fat dude. That's all he is. He's the fat dude. There's no name to him. We don't really know anything about him other than he's the part of the French.
Well, I mean, they're literally fodder, though. That was their purpose.
That
was their purpose in the movie.
Fodder for the Predator to kill and show off all this new.
That is true. I just think it would have been nice
weaponry.
Yeah,
that is true. I just think it would have been nice to get to know them more, to actually grow a bigger hatred, because it would have been even more satisfying, is what I'm saying. It's still satisfying. Don't get me wrong. The vile shit they did, I enjoyed seeing them dying. What I'm saying is it could have been even more so.
Okay,
I get what you're saying. Yeah. But again, so there's one scene in particular I want to talk about, and that scene is going to be what was it? That scene is Naru with the lion in the tree, because I feel like that scene also really pretty much like talks about like what her whole thing is. So we've all known for the fact that like Naru's like, you know, she wants to hunt because her tribe thinks that she can't. And to me, I feel like it's not just because she's a woman. Like for the Comanche tribe and way back then, women had their place, but they also still knew how to hunt and how to go to war if the situation called for it. For Naru's case, I think it was more than just her being a woman, but it was also for the fact that she hesitates when it comes to actually doing the actual hunting. Like when it came to the lion, you could see that she was, you know, of course she was distracted, but she was hesitant. You know, I feel like that was her whole thing, was that she was still afraid. She couldn't bring it home in a manner of speaking.
That showed a couple times actually with the lion. She's able to hunt down like rabbits fairly easily. But again, with the bear, she was afraid. Where other time, like again, when the bear was chasing after her, she hesitated. Her bow broke, and the dog had to save her by leading in a different direction. And even then, she got a shot off. She's like, "Oh crap! What do I do now?" So she's not as seasoned as a good warrior. And every time she had a chance to do something against the predator, she would freeze. And the predators kind of look at her and go a different direction.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that also pertains to her whole, like the whole rite of passage that her and her brother were talking about. Like, you know, when he asked her, you're ready to hunt something that's hunting you. And throughout the entire movie, we see that she was not ready up until we get to the climax where she does become ready. We see her actually ready to hunt something that can hunt back.
And that was a brilliant display of hunting. I'll give it to her.
It was like she can do the tracking, she can do the medicine, she can hunt small game. But when it came to actually hunting big game, she was hesitant. She was still afraid. But when it came to the predator, at the point she knew she had to be fearless. She knew she had to prove she was a threat. Which throughout the movie, as she's learning, we can see she has grown. She has developed. She is now a fearless hunter and more than a worthy adversary for the predator.
Yeah,
But-
most definitely. She became a lot like the female/Native American version of Dutch.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, because yeah, I can see that.
I would say she put up a better fight than Dutch.
Yeah.
Well, Dutch got bitch slapped.
Yeah.
That's what
He
he
got
did. He
bitch
literally
slapped
got
a
bitch
lot.
slapped.
But you know,
I feel like that was part of his strategy to get beaten up while like luring it somewhere else. It's the Spider-Man strategy.
Yeah.
Follow me, get hit, but still follow me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, again, like Naru's character development throughout the story, throughout the entire movie, is to me one of the best we've seen in recent media. You know, we see that she wants to prove herself, but she kind of goes about it the wrong way at first.
Yeah.
until she finally realizes just what she needs to do.
Mhm.
And the Predator itself, you know, we see how it's still learning, we see how it's still inexperienced and all that, but we see that Naru can kind of tell how it, at least to me, it seemed like she knew that it kind of like would get ahead of itself.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
Which
and
she
it was
did,
nice to
she
see
figured
her
that out,
actually
because
do
when he was
all-
jumping across the tree, she set up a trap on the
Exactly.
tree where it was leaping ahead, and it leapt straight into a trap.
Exactly.
Multiple times. Like, she used its arrogance and its ability to just attack first against it multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
which is something nice to see. You know, also kind of like a nice callback to the original Predator. You know, Dutch used traps against the Predator. He used his the mud stealth ability to hide from it and all that, which was also a really nice callback. Of course, you know, in this case, it was a bit more hands-on.
Her
Yeah.
plant ability was so good, and it was set up so early on that I was like, that is a brilliant way of using this.
Yes.
And her realizing, oh, you can't see when I give people this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that was
That's so
kind of like-
cool. It made her invisible.
Yeah, and it was pretty nice to see something else that other than just the mud. You know, the mud has always been like a major part of the Predator media, but it was nice to see something else. That there are other things out there to hide from the Predator to pretty much make them seem invisible. But that's all the time I've got for right now. So you guys, of course, you know, you guys can continue, but I unfortunately have to leave. So thanks for having me up on here, Joe. For my rating, it would be Predator at the top, Prey second, Predator 2. Predators for third, Predator 2 for fourth, fifth, Requiem, and then I don't even count the Predator in any ranking because it's just that shit. So anyway, you guys take care.
Bye, guys.
All right, adios.
Have a good one. Now, before we got into the whole spoiler thing, I'm gonna finish what I was saying earlier on, because what I'm about to say is on, like, when it comes to the cinematography of this movie, like I said, it's nothing like, it's not Hideki Anno level of cinematography, but it's overall very well shot. Like in that one moment where they have to be quiet in the woods, where this one native told Naru to kind of keep everything hushed since they were hiding from the Yaochua, but then the Yaochua finds them, and we get this very good shot from the far range that gives us a solid look at the entire environments around them while Naru's running and he's getting brutally murdered by the Yaochua. And I found to be very good suspense and overall a interesting angle to really shoot it at.
I'll give you that too. Yeah, the cinematography in this was easy enough, where a lot of action movies do that whole shaky cam, and like I hate shaky cam and cuts every like 2 seconds. This one, you got to see the action play out around you. You got to see the characters running, moving, leaping, or vaulting over while still doing their action. Where there was still some quick cuts going between it, but it wasn't jarring enough. So it's like, all right, 1, 2 seconds cut, 1, 2 cut, 1, 2 cut. It's like, no, you saw the characters moving and doing their actions. The camera wasn't shaking where I could tell what was happening properly.
Yep.
Stuff like that.
But
I just kind of miss things like that. Like, this movie did really well to feel like this is a fun action movie that I would definitely rewatch again if I would want to see just a random Predator movie without going back to see something silly and hokey.
Like the first one, because I do love that one. But it's also filled with the 80s cheese. Like, this is silly and goofy, and I love it. Where this one, it's like, this one feels more tactically aware. Where I want to, like, if I want to actually write a character who is studying someone, I would watch this to be like, how does she figure this out as the movie's going?
Yeah.
But unless we have any more spoilers to discuss, we should get to our rankings of the series. But do you guys have any more spoilers to get into?
Nope.
I believe that was all of our things.
Okay, so let's get on to ranking of the series. My ranking, number 1, a tie between Predator and 2009's Predators. Why these are very good, in my opinion, is when it comes to, first I go on to Predator and then Predators. Predator from the original Predator was a downright masterpiece. Yeah, it was simple and 80s cheese, but in a good way. And it just really nailed that all well. You had the suspense that this one offered while all these exciting military action scenes. Since it was the first time we ever seen the Yaochua, there was a lot of suspense for what he looked like behind that mask, and the overall reveal of his face was interesting, and it had some really good one-liners like... Huh?
I wanted to bring one thing up that none of us actually talked about. I'm sorry, I just thought of it. But what you brought up with the first Predator movie about how it's just kind of in the jungle, this, like, the story itself for this feels very contained. Where there's no, we need to get off the planet, we need to escape the jungle. As much as I love some of those things, this is a self-contained story with very direct characters you spend enough time with to grow fond of them while still being aware of things around you. We don't have to worry about other countries. We don't have to worry about too many characters popping in and out. We don't have to care about too many characters and if they're going to survive. Like, no, we are focused on one specific character, her journey, and the emotional character development she gets dealing with this current situation. Not what's going to happen afterward, or how many other things are going to pop up. Like, no, it's just this one instance that really makes it a self-contained, better story. Where it's like, this is nice. I don't have to worry about anything else. It doesn't have to tie to anything else. It's not leading to something else. It's like, no, this is just a Predator story.
Yeah, but
another thing as you were saying with your ranking, I'm sorry.
That's good. You had an idea, and I'm glad you pointed that out. But when it comes to the first movie, it had that nice job of suspense to it, and some really good one-liners. Like when he took his mask off, you had Arnold say that line of "one ugly motherfucker." That was good. And overall, the soundtrack for that film, well, very 80s. It's nice to go back to older media and enjoy that time capsule of soundtrack that you would get from back then. And it's one of the few action horror movies that's actually action horror, where it blends them other than favoring one genre over the other. So, first movie, and then after that, and the characters were also simplistic. Arnold had that action hero vibe, but overall he wasn't overly badass. He had to come up with his own strategies and stuff like that. He wasn't invincible. You didn't feel like he was. So you got the badass action hero while also vulnerability there. But as for Predators, which equals to first in my opinion, it does a good job at going back to the basics while also taking place in the same universe by doing its own thing. Like, instead of military or the normal forest, the Yaochua dropped all of these worthy opponents onto the specific planet that resembles the forest, but at the same time it's different, where you get all these different creatures and such. And it went back to the basics and recreated many things from the first movie, but at the same time, it wasn't identical. It done some twists and changes to that first movie, and added some bunches of different Yaochua. Though I do feel like it focused more on the action aspect, but overall, still a very good requel to say the least. Next in ranking, Prey. Yes, I like this even better than Predator 2. Prey is as I said in the review, a very solid entry that has some drawbacks to the first, while deciding what potential Predator has in a Native American era does. It's enjoyable, entertaining, is the first movie in years to blend action horror together, and overall, it has a lot of beautiful scores that make it a must-watch. Very fun entry, to say the least. And then Predator 2. This showcases one of the things I like about this franchise is the first one was a 80s military action horror, while this one was crime drama mixed with action, and it done it in its own unique way to separate it from the first movie. And plus, Danny Glover and what's the other guy's name? Gary Busey. Danny Glover and Gary Busey in that movie. Perfect choice. And the new design for the Predator was cool, especially when he's about to call the Yautja one ugly motherfucker. He finishes Danny Glover's sentence for him. And then after that, oh god, after that, oh wait, we're still good here. Alien versus Predator. I liked Alien versus Predator. I know a lot of people didn't because of certain flaws and the non-PG-13 rating, but overall, you had a nice dynamic formed with the lead girl and the Yautja, where they essentially had to come to common ground to work against the bigger threat, being the xenomorphs. I liked the new era of winter, but overall, it was just very cool to see the Yautja battle the xenomorphs and all this deep lore we got between the two species was overall a very nice touch. But you did get some other goofy shit, like when you are paying attention to the movie, they're supposed to be in Antarctica, but there's none of that fog that comes out when they breathe. So it's like, that's noticeable. But while not the potential AVP has, it is a fun little action movie that had some really cool fights, especially the Galactic Predator, I think its name was, when he grabbed the xenomorph's tail and started swinging it around, and the final battle with the alien queen. How could you not love that shit? Yeah. Now let's get into some of the weak ass shit.
Can we not stay long on these? I don't remember those.
Sorry, I just like to talk about a lot of shit, but
just give me your order.
Yeah. Because there's still us you have to go through too. It's not just you monologuing, you know.
Okay, fair enough. Well, Alien vs. Predator Requiem and Predator 2018. I'll go on brief about these two. Alien vs. Predator Requiem. Like the story with the Wolf Predator. Alien was cool, and the stuff around eliminating the aliens was nice. But human characters, shitty typical slasher characters, they're too dark, you can't see shit, bad CGI. Predator 2018, CGI is so fucking bad. When I see the NECA figure of that big Predator, I fucking want to cry since it looks more real than the CGI model in that movie. There's some really stupid stuff with the lore, like a Predator needing the autistic kid and shit like that. And overall, I didn't like the characters. Not fair. Good movies. I'm tied on those two. Okay, who wants to go next?
Carolee, go for it.
All right, so I wrote mine down. I'm gonna read it. So Predator, obviously. I got just come on, y'all. It's the original. Then we got Prey. It was really fucking good. I love it. 2009. Then we got Predator 2. Let's see, what was my next? AVP. I really did like AVP. I'm sorry.
I enjoyed it too.
No, same.
But the story was nice. Hunter Moon, I liked it. Cool. Then The Predator and Requiem, I thought was the fucking shittiest, honestly.
Wait, how'd you say that?
Requiem? I don't know.
Requiem?
Requiem.
Requiem really was shitty.
Yeah. The best thing about Requiem was what went on with the alien and Predator himself, but then they ruined that with the shit lighting.
Yeah.
Just a shit fucking story all throughout. I really do think it's the worst. Honestly, worse than the Predator, in my humble opinion.
That's
fair choice. Fair choices.
And how do you say that fucking word?
Requiem?
Requiem.
Yeah.
As a kid, I liked that one because as a kid, I really wanted to watch that one because it was unrated and had some of its edgy shit in it. So I was like, let me watch this shit because I wanted to be this rebellious little kid that watched stuff that I couldn't. And I kept going back to that one. Now as an adult, it's like outside of the Alien, the Wolf Predator, and stuff like that, this movie's not good.
It's not. Wolf's kind of dumb.
I like Wolf.
Happened.
Like, I didn't realize that in Requiem, Wolf goes to try and clean up the mess that the other predators made, but he ends up making bigger messes. And it's like, wow, you suck at your job, apparently.
Okay.
But to be fair, they did encounter, like, when he was just trying to clean up the mess, other people would show up and he'd have to kill them too, but then he would clean up after the mess he made, to be fair.
But then he's also killing people that don't need to die.
Yeah.
They seen him. The predators don't care about human beings. They hunt them.
I was listening to a podcast from, what was it?
Huh?
But in Prey, we see that the predators really only care when they're a threat. Because he didn't start going after Naro until she pointed that gun at him. And then he saw the gun, and then he saw her, and he was like, oh, okay, maybe she is a threat. Now she's attacking me. So really, did those people need to die?
No,
well, the thing is, he didn't want them knowing about the war, so he killed them whenever they would see. There's no way to erase memory like Men in Black, so all there was to murder them.
I guess. No. There's this. I was listening to a podcast from the Weekly Planet, two dudes in Australia that I really like, and they reviewed the Alien vs. Predator and Requiem. And one of the scenes they pointed out was the humans were running through a hospital, and the Predator chucked a spiked disc at some chick down the hall and impaled her into the wall.
Yeah.
There was no need for that. There is no need to kill her. She didn't see him whatsoever. He was down the freaking hallway doing something else.
That is true.
I think it was just kill for the sake of killing, just to get that gore factor.
Then again, he's causing
people
more.
What they want.
Then again, he's leaving a bigger mess than what he's supposed to be doing of leaving no mess.
Yeah,
but
I think they saw.
AVP did not have that rated R that everybody wanted to have, so then they're like, okay,
they forced it in.
Kill them all.
They forced it in.
Yeah.
But what's your ranking?
All right, so I honestly want to rewatch the Predator movies after this because I'm definitely going to be changing my ranking order depending on how this goes.
Okay.
So right now it's either Predators or Prey. One of the two. I'm not like that. They're tied for 2 and 3.
Okay.
Followed by AVP, Requiem, then the Predator. But Requiem and the Predator, I didn't really watch I watched them, but I gave up with them, so they're just the bottom ranking. I don't like having AVP so far at the bottom because, again, I'm with you guys. I enjoyed it. But the problem was I enjoyed the last third of that movie because I love the temple idea. I love the idea that the predators are hunting the xenomorphs. I love the idea that humans are in the middle between it. Yeah. But it became the most interesting when it was that last woman who I don't remember her name kind of teaming up with the predator to deal with them, where there was less communication of pointing things out and more of, I have to communicate with you for our mutual survival now.
Yeah.
Where the predator's like, okay, you're efficient in killing these things. I can't kill these things by myself. If the movie was a lot more close-knit on nurturing that dynamic of these 3 races coming together and 2 of them realizing, okay, we're going to be overrun if we if we keep fighting each other. If it stayed to that with the temple idea, I would have been all the happier, but it took a while to get there.
Yeah.
Either way, I still like it. That's my ranking. I'm probably going to go watch the Predator movies throughout this week.
Yeah, they're definitely great movies. I've been a fan of Predator for ages now, alongside Alien. But anyway, unless you guys have anything else to say, I'd say that was it for this podcast.
I'm good.
So if you enjoyed it, please comment your thoughts down below. Smash that like button, share it around, and subscribe. Make sure to hit that bell for notifications to keep up to date on all my future content. Also, feel free to check out Carolee's business and Instagram. They will be linked in the description down below. Also, check me out on social media and alt text. They'll also be linked. This is Gojin the Makai Phantom, leaving the building.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.